What's going on, everyone? Let's talk about Troy Brown Jr. because he has really been a bright spot this year for the Lakers, has been one of the more consistent guys all season, and he deserves a little bit of shine. He was one of the few people that actually showed up to the Chicago Bulls game. He's been very good on both sides of the ball, defensively and offensively this year for the Lakers. He finished with 18 points, 6 rebounds, 1 assist, was 4-9 from 3, 7-13. He had 2 blocks, 2 steals, 2 turnovers, and 2 personal fouls. So it was just 2s across the board. But again, he's a guy that has just been a model of consistency for the most part this year. He's not a perfect player, but he's still young, right? He's 23 years old, and he's been thrusted into a role that he probably wasn't really intended to be in, right? He's a guy that was supposed to be that project player that comes in, gets spot minutes here and there, that's young enough for us to grow and develop, right? He's more of a shooting guard rather than a small forward, but he has started a lot this year with LeBron James out and other guys missing time here and there, but mostly in place of LeBron James. So he's kind of played out of position at the small forward, but still has done a really good job. And he's had to guard bigger guys. I mean, there was a stretch where we were playing him at the power forward and having to guard even bigger guys. And he still has held his own this season. He has an above average defensive rating, so he's been very good defensively for the year. And on the offensive side of the ball, he's been very solid. He's given us, 7.5 points per game, but he's averaging 3 3 defensive rebounds, 1 offensive rebound for a total of 4.5. He's been great rebounding the ball this year for the Lakers, giving you a steal, just under half a block, and as well as a 1.5 assists. But the shooting 51%, just under 52% from 2-point range, which a lot of it is at the rim. A lot of his dunks and transition, stuff like that, with a EFG of 55%. But free throw shooting, he's shooting almost 90% from the free throw line, which is really good. And 3-point range is where he's really picked it up, right? And on the season, he is shooting just under 38% from 3 on 4 attempts per game. So he has been very effective and just very good in general with this team, with this Lakers team. Again, a guy that has to play a role that probably shouldn't have had to play and probably wouldn't be playing anywhere else. And that just shows the position that the Lakers have been in for a good chunk of the season. And even when we got this trade and we got all these players and we got all this depth and talent, he's still been one of the more consistent guys and has really carved out a role and an argument for rotation on this roster. I mean, there's a real argument to start him even with LeBron back, right? He's been one of our best 3-point shooters, especially as of late. He has been shooting the 3 ball really good the last 10 games or so. He had that one game where he was just rough, where I think he was 0-6 or something like that. But outside of that, he's been really good, really good. And which is why his 3-point percentage has just shot up over the last, month or so. But him being the starting shooting guard, if he continues to shoot and perform the way he's been playing, I do like that spot. A starting 5 of D'Lo, Troy Brown Jr., Jared Vanderbilt, LeBron James, and Anthony Davis. Again, if Troy Brown can maintain his shooting percentage of, 37, 38%, that gives you 2 dead-eye shooters in D'Angelo Russell and Troy Brown Jr. That gives you defensive, perimeter defense and point of attack on the wings in Troy Brown Jr. and Jared Vanderbilt. Troy Brown gets to play his more natural position at the 2 rather than him playing the 3, in which he has size for the 2. Right? He's like at size for some 3s, but slightly smaller for 3s, but he's got great size and length and strength for a shooting guard. So I wouldn't mind if they decide to keep him in the starting lineup with him at the 2 and then have Vanderbilt at the 3. And now you just have that great solid defense in Vanderbilt, Troy Brown, and Anthony Davis. And then LeBron, we've seen him play defense. He was actually really good defensively in the Chicago Bulls game. And then D'Lo as your guy that can play on the ball, play off the ball, which he's played really well off the ball and can knock down shots. And he's been surprisingly solid defensively. He's never been, nor will he very likely be, an elite defender. I'm talking about D'Angelo Russell, but he is a guy that has been very good with the Lakers so far. And some of that I think is just the team defense has really helped. But I do like that point of attack because Troy Brown is better defensively than Beasley, and Beasley's been struggling to knock down the three ball. Although I do think with LeBron back and then once D'Lo gets back in the lineup, I do think you need to have Beasley in that starting lineup and give him the opportunity because, I mean, one, he picked it up in this last game against the Bulls, right? He shot 42% from 3, 6 of 14. But I do think that with LeBron, that was the whole reason you went and got Malik Beasley, was because you got LeBron James. So get a guy that can be a dead-eye shooter. He puts in the work. He puts in the effort. He's really, he's a streaky shooter. He'll have a handful of games where he's, 2 of 11, and then he'll have a handful of games where he's 8 of 11, right? But with LeBron James, he's going to get better looks. And you even saw that in the Chicago game. He got looks that he hadn't gotten since last time LeBron played. And I don't think it's a coincidence that Beasley's best stretch of games with the Lakers, consecutively, was when LeBron and D'Lo were together with him on the court. Because I just think that it opens up so much more and it makes things so much easier for Beasley. But if you want that defense, you want that shooting, not at the volume, right? Because Troy Brown's only averaging 4 threes a game. But if you want that shooter and you want that defense, Troy Brown could be the guy that you keep in the starting lineup and then have a bench unit of, Schroeder, Reeves, Beasley, Winyan, Mo Bamba when he gets back and kind of work out that rotation. Rui, of course, guys like that, right? And then, of course, what are they going to do with Lonnie Walker? Although Lonnie Walker had a really rough game against the Bulls, but so did everybody. How much was that just like the team just had a rough go, and how much was that, individual guys just not playing well? But again, Troy Brown was one of the big bright spots in that Bulls game. I mean, he was solid, again, on both sides of the ball, but he's done that all year, right? And I've talked about him before. So he's played 69 games this season. He started in 45 of those games. So he has played in what? He's played in all but 6 games this year. So he's been reliable. He's been a guy that they can count on. In some of those games, he just had DNPs. So I think he's only had 2 games or something like that out with injury, 2 or 3 games out with injury. Again, he's only missed 6 games total. So he's been consistent. He's been a guy that plays and shows up night in and night out. He's a guy that plays both sides of the ball. What more could you ask for? And I mean, I made a video months ago talking about Troy Brown and how he was just, every game was giving you basically 7 to 8 points a game like clockwork. And he has. I mean, when you look at all of the Lakers games, there are very few games compared to the number of games where he's given you at least 7 to 8 points a game. I mean, he just night in and night out just gives you 7 to 8 points. And to some people, they might look at that and go, well, it's only 8 points a game or whatever. But again, his role was supposed to be very likely the 13th, 14th guy. Not a guy that was going to have to start 45 games. Not a guy that was going to have to play big, heavy minutes. Not a guy that was going to have to guard and play out of position. Not a guy that was very likely intended to have a major role. It was hey, we can get this 23-year-old who has a lot of promise and a lot of upside that we can get in, maybe develop him, give him some spot minutes, give him, 10 minutes a game, whatever, and there you go. And he's worked hard, he's played well, and he's been a guy that, again, I think deserves to be in the rotation. He's getting 25 minutes a game, and I think he's earned and deserved all of it. He's been one of our best players, from a consistency standpoint, all season. He has been one of the best players this year, as far as playing games, showing up to work, playing in spot minutes, guarding the best players on the other team sometimes. I mean, he did a great job against Brandon Ingram, He's done a great job against Luka at times. Like, he's played really good defense against some very challenging players. And just, again, he has an above average, league average defensive rating. He's not like an elite lockdown defender. He's not like to the level of Jared Vanderbilt or like Anthony Davis or something like that. But he is very good and very serviceable, and he's also a big part of why we have a top defense. I mean, you got to think, we have the number one defense in the league since the trade, with Troy Brown starting in like 90% of those games. At the 3, nonetheless. He hasn't started at the 2. He's been playing small forward pretty much his entire season. Right? I mean, he's played small forward pretty much his entire career, but again, he is more of a shooting guard than he is a traditional 3. He's a guy that can play the 2 and 3 if you need him to. You see a lot of players like that, 6'6", 6'7", play the 2 and 3. But he's a guy that I really do think could be just a nice piece going forward. Still 23 years old. He's only going to improve. He's only going to get better as time goes on. He's shown a lot of consistency. He's shown the ability to play night in and night out. He's been one of the more consistent guys on this team. A lot of people want, guys to be elite, right? If you're not scoring 20 or you're not giving us, whatever, if you're not dishing out 20 assists or blocking 15 shots or whatever, then you're nobody, right? And that's just not the case. You need role guys. You need glue guys. You need X factors. You need pieces that can come in and make plays, which he's made plays. He's hit some big shots this season. He's been, again, one of the more consistent guys, one of our better shooters this season, one of our more consistent shooters this season, has played pretty much every game that he could play this year. I mean, it's just from front to back. Troy Brown Jr. is the ultimate role guy this season. He has been very good for the Lakers on both sides of the basketball. He's been very impactful. He's had some real moments, some memorable moments. He's a guy that I really hope the Lakers can keep around for the long haul. I really do. He's not going to cost much the next few years. I would love to see the Lakers lock him up, 4 years, whatever, 15 million, 16 million, something like that, right? And just allow him to be a guy that can grow with this team, get some rotation minutes, get some solid minutes. I don't think he's like a 10 million a year guy, but I could see him as like a, 6 to 8 million a year guy because of his age and what he's done this year. He's only going to get better, or you'd imagine he'd only get better. Been solid on both sides of the ball. If you could get him, like I said, get him 4 years, 24 million. Cool. I think you keep him long term. I really do. I think he's a guy that can grow with this roster, can play the 2, can play the 3, can start, can come off the bench, can be versatile. If you're playing a small ball team, he can play the 4 in spots and do it effectively, right? It's just, it's a solid just addition to the Lakers. And for a vet minimum guy, he's not making $10 million a year. The guy's a vet minimum guy and has just outperformed his contract. And that's what you want, right? When you find vet minimum guys, or you find, the guys for, anywhere from $1 to $5 million a year, right? You're trying to just find a guy that can play beyond their contract. If he's making $1 million, you want him to play like a $3 to $5 million a year guy. If he's, $5 million, you want him to play like a $10 million a year guy. Troy Brown, in my opinion, is playing like an $8 to $10 million a year guy, right? Think of most of the role players in this league. Think of how much they're making and compare their stats to Troy Brown's stats, and Troy Brown's right there. I mean, Troy Brown's playing better because, again, he's playing both sides of the ball. Like, you see guys that, they're able to knock down shots and hit shots and, and can get you 15 a game, which Troy Brown has shown his ability to. He's shown his ability to just play off the dribble, shoot in the mid-range, shoot the three-point shot, get to the rim. He's more so get to the rim or spot up three-point shooting, but still, he's a guy that's shown that he has the ability to do multiple things, right? Like, look at it like this. With his age, at 23 years old, if the Lakers drafted him this year, everybody would be talking about how we got the steal of the draft and this guy is the future of the Lakers. Because he's young, he's as young as most of the people that were drafted this year. There was a lot of like 22-year-olds and stuff like that being drafted, right? People would be talking about him as if he was, like, if we just got highway robbery in the second round or something, you know? And so for him to be playing to this level as the 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th guy, that's really good. When you can get the production on both sides of the basketball that he is giving you as, again, the 7th guy on the team, even though he's starting. But you got to think in the pecking order, you got like LeBron, AD, you got, D'Lo, you got Austin Reeves, Dennis Schroeder, right? Like, that's at least 5 guys. And then you can make an argument Jared Vanderbilt, but Jared Vanderbilt doesn't really take a bunch of shots and get the ball much. He's more of just like a defensive specialist than anything. I mean, you're talking about Troy Brown as like the 6th, 7th guy on the Lakers, maybe even deeper. And he's giving you 8 and 4 a game, shooting 38% from 3. I mean, come on. Like that's about as good of a 7th, 8th guy as you're going to get. Seriously, on a nightly basis, that is just, he's solid and he deserves a video. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion, so I pass the question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think of Troy Brown this year? Do you think he's great? Do you like him? Have you been impressed with him? Have you not? However you feel, whatever your thoughts are, I'd love to hear it. Let me know down in the comments below.